Hey, this is Dr. Mike, and I am here with my good friend Yani Vozos of Kentucky Soul Products. And Yani has taken, not a recent, but within the past couple of years, he's taken a deep dive into a foray of tinctures, especially local Appalachian Ginseng and others. And so we have had some recent interest in ginseng coming into the office, and patients are asking questions about it. And so I thought, who is the best person I know for ginseng? This is the only person I know for ginseng, Yani Vozos.
All right.
And so Yani, welcome. I just wanted to talk some today about your products and why you got into these products, and maybe some misconceptions that people have, and then how we can use some of these products in our daily lives, because what we're trying to do is just get healthy and stay healthy. And obviously, I value your opinion, and you value the information and the wellness that's associated with these products. And so what got you interested in the beginning into wanting to devote part of your life to developing these products?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think, like many people, as I aged, things started not working right. And so I went looking for solutions at the doctor's office and whatnot. And a lot of those things that they were prescribing were, pills, pharmaceuticals. And of course, I would take them, and then I would notice these side effects happening, these really not welcome side effects. And so I was thinking, man, there's got to be a different way to do this. And so then I remembered, oh yeah, I was raised on a farm in eastern Kentucky, and my parents and I lived close to the land, and we used herbs and the things growing around us to treat ailments, to treat things as they came up. And so I remembered that I have this apothecary at my disposal that is nature. And so began, and we're talking, this is probably 20, 25 years ago. And I just started doing a self-study deep into herbal healing and herbal medicine, and was on a path to help myself and help my family and friends to get healthy in a natural way that didn't have all these side effects, and that we could use the things around us.
So it's interesting you use the term side effects, because it seems more like a direct effect. If you take a pharmaceutical drug and it makes you feel a certain way, it seems like it's a direct effect. I think we call it side effect because it's unwarranted, and it's unfortunate that you feel this way, but to me it seems like it's a direct effect of the drug that you were taking. And so it seems like modern society has just really kind of lost touch with some of these traditional plant medicines. What's one of the things that surprised you the most after making the switch into this style of treating your underlying conditions or your healthcare in general?
I think what surprised me the most is how much, because really we're talking about modern medicine, pharmaceuticals is just probably in the last 100 to 150 years. What surprised me the most is that up until then, for thousands of years, people were using all the plants and herbal healing traditions, and then just almost overnight, that became like taboo, and it was totally discarded in many ways and made illegal, in some ways, in some places. And so that's what surprised me the most. It's just like, wow, because of modern medicine and really, at the end of the day, a lot of marketing and doctors kind of prescribing these things, only the pills and powders, all of that, wealth of knowledge was just kind of discarded. And it was really sad, really. It was a sad surprise.
Right. So we grew up traditionally treating with herbs, and then we made a switch to pharmaceutical medicines. But isn't a lot of that research based on herbs?
A lot of it is similar or the same compounds. It's just, pharmaceuticals are created in a lab and in a not natural way. And
So is it a misunderstanding that herbs are second rate and pharmaceuticals are the best way to go? Is that a misconception?
I mean, I would certainly say yes. Now, obviously, there's certain things, that are better treated. I guess that's debatable. With pharmaceuticals, it's just what are you looking for, And at the end of the day, how is it going to affect your quality of life? Can you treat, for example, inflammation in an herbal way that's not going to have side effects as well as you can in a pharmaceutical way? I think you absolutely can. But it's a case-by-case basis. I feel like so much of what herbal healing and herbal medicine is after is developing a stable, developing homeostasis in the patient. And it's a holistic approach. It's not just one thing. I mean, you're talking about diet, exercise, hydration, rest, sugar, carbs, looking at different hydrogenated oils and whether or not to, take them out of your diet. I feel like in so many ways, a lot of people they don't want to change their lifestyle. They don't want to change anything. Mm-hmm. Just give me a pill so I can continue eating whatever and doing whatever and having, whatever stress in my life. I mean, it's a multifaceted approach. I don't know if that's making sense or
Sure. Get me healthy so I can keep doing the things that make me sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And
you know that one.
And they've got a choice. They're either going to fix their problems or they're going to take a drug for their symptoms.
Yes.
Basically. And these pharmaceuticals oftentimes are really stripped down into one chemical. Mm-hmm. Depending upon one chemical to do the job of something that needs multiple angles mm-hmm. at the treatment. And these plant tinctures are complex compounds. They're not mm-hmm. just one chemical.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes in nature, you've got the main chemicals that are working, but you also got these other things mm-hmm. that go along with it that activate that. Why would somebody choose to do a tincture like this versus just consuming a whole bunch of the plant?
Great question. The tincture is, it's less diluted. So, trying to think of a way I could make an example. For example, I just made nettle. I just made a tincture out of nettle. Which is very healthy, super nutritious, super potent. I can't say enough good things about nettle. It does sting you, but the sting, it lasts a very small amount of time, and it's a really great herb. There was a famous herbalist that said, "When in doubt, use nettle." It's a great herb. Anyway, I made a tincture out of nettle, and I had to get 8 ounces of the actual herb, the leaves. 8 ounces, that's a lot, half pound. I mean, of nettle, you're talking about a huge amount. And I combined that with 16 ounces of, it's a 20% alcohol. Anyway, it's a super concentrated substance. What you're creating is this extraction that is taking out all of these really great compounds that are gonna help you. For example, like with a fresh nettle tincture, you're looking at lots of good antihistamines, so great for allergies, super nutritious, all kind of different vitamins, vitamins A through K. It's really a powerhouse. And so what you're getting is a super concentrated version. Mm-hmm. Now, have I eaten 8 ounces of nettle greens? I certainly have. But I don't think my body, and when it digests it, is getting the same amount of those nutrients and those secondary phytochemicals. The tincture process gets that super concentrated form that you can take, and you just, you do a dropper, and you're done. You don't have to gather the nettle leaves. You don't have to cook them.
Right.
Stuff like that. So it's just getting a really concentrated dose.
So you brought up two things. Not only is your stomach only so big, and that might be a limiting factor, but does the extraction process possibly bring out nutrients that we humans have a tough time getting out of the plant, but the extraction process gets it out into a form that our body can use it easier than we can actually get it out ourselves?
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea. And, like digestion process, starts with saliva in the mouth and then it goes down in the stomach and large intestines, small intestines, et cetera, et cetera. Is it going to get all of the good stuff that we want, just out of the fresh leaves? It's probably unlikely. Whereas with a tincture, you're macerating it, you're extracting this over the course of several weeks to get these specific chemicals out of it. And like you were saying, plants are full of compounds. I mean, hundreds of different compounds, if not thousands. And for the most part, the extraction process is able to get these, these tiny molecules out of there. And, for lack of a better description, we know this because the color of the liquid changes, In many cases, for example, with the nettle, you start with a clear liquid, and at the end of the tincture process, that liquid is dark green. So it is full of those compounds.
And does it pull the chlorophyll and stuff out as well? No. It doesn't do that. So if somebody eats a salad, and after they eat their salad, their stomach goes bloop, 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 and they get some gas and some stomach distress. To me, that's an indicator that person's body is not able to break down their food and their roughage and stuff like that very efficiently. And so even a person who thinks that they might be healthy could still have some issues where they're not breaking down nutrients properly. So if somebody were to have some gastric distress after eating a salad, to me, it would indicate that maybe they're not breaking their food down. Would something like this, just in general, could this act as like a multivitamin or something to help correct some malnutritioncies? Maybe if somebody has those symptoms, they might want to use a product like this just to help their body be able to break stuff down just in general, because those symptoms would indicate that they're not breaking stuff down, and this would help ease the strain on the body too.
Absolutely, and it could be maybe a lack of a certain enzyme, which that's certainly treatable. But in many cases, you go to like an herb or an herb mix, like the I call it the wellness blend. It's ginger, turmeric, and ginseng. Specifically, the ginger and the turmeric are really great for your stomach. Really great for your stomach biome, the flora and fauna. It really kind of helps to get your stomach back to a homeostasis where it has proper amounts of the different good bacteria. This would be a great thing to take. Turmeric and ginger specifically are really great for your stomach. Have a calming effect. But also, I would say, stomach distress, it could be different things, like if it's indigestion and just kind of a general stomach upset, I would use more of a calming herbal sequence, which is, actually the oregano is also effective. This is the chill tonic, which I call it the chill tonic. That is lemon balm, chamomile, and peppermint. And so this is just a really nice, calming, synergistic combination of herbs. It's really delicious too. I really love this. My kids love this one too. So this is perfect for like a tummy ache. I would recommend, like a teaspoon or 5 squirts of this if you're have indigestion, if your stomach just feels a little uneasy and kind of like, oh, it's just upset. I would take 5 of those, five squirts of that. Wait a little while. If it doesn't subside, take another 5 squirts. Usually within 2 doses, you're going to be fine. You'll be feeling better. If something like a lactose, if it's a lactose kind of distress, I would use the oregano oil. Oregano oil is really calming for that kind of stomach issue. One of the many things that oregano oil does. So anyway, I throwing a lot of different options there at you, but all of those are really good. The ginger is also can be good for acid reflux.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that one is good. But in general, ginger and turmeric are just they're excellent.
Those are your powerhouses.
Excellent for your stomach.
So I don't know if I said it, but Yani Vozos from Kentucky Soul Botanicals.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the extraction and how to get the medicine and the nutrients out. Mm-hmm. And being Kentucky Soul.
Yes, sir.
You brought up an extraction method I'll hold on till for the end.
Okay.
Because Kentucky Proud extraction I've never heard before. It's very interesting. There's many ways to do things.
That's right.
Keeping it local as well.
That's right.
But when people think of tinctures, oftentimes they think of bitterness and alcohol. And sometimes I understand that that's just part of the process. And everything doesn't always have to taste like candy all the time. Mm-hmm. So sometimes things need to taste just the way they are, just like the earth. Mm-hmm. And they don't always have to be rewarding. We're lucky we have different ways to get compounds out of plants like this, so we'll take what we get. However, could you talk with me about the different ways of extracting the plants? And one of them is alcohol-based, and talk about the differences, but not all of them are alcohol-based. So talk about the differences for us.
Sure. Yeah, so there are many traditional methods for extracting medicinal compounds from plants. Tincturing process traditionally includes alcohol, and that is something that I've used extensively over the 25 years I've been doing this. Different percentages of alcohol, depends on the herb, whatnot. But most recently, what I've been doing is I will do the initial extraction with alcohol. So, for example, we'll just say with ginger, I'll chop up my ginger, and I'll do a 1-to-3 ratio of fresh ginger with the alcohol, and I'll let that sit usually for 2 months to make sure it extracts everything. And let me back up. I'll use a 50%. I'll use a 50% alcohol.
50% alcohol
50%
equals
alcohol.
100 proof.
Exactly.
Right?
Correct. And the reason I use 50% is that's going to make it easier for me in the second phase of getting this into a non-alcoholic substance. So the initial extraction is with alcohol, 50% alcohol. Let that sit for 2 months. Strain that liquid off, and then let's say I am stuck with 1 quart of that extracted ginger alcohol mixture. So what I'll do, because I know it's 50% alcohol, if I have 1 quart, I will put 1 pint of flaxseed glycerin. Mix it with that. I'll cover it up with a cheesecloth to make sure no bugs can get in, stuff like that, and then I allow that to evaporate. I'll let the alcohol completely evaporate to where there's no alcohol left, and what we're left with is all the good stuff from the ginger, secondary phytochemicals, and the glycerin. So the resulting substance is kind of sweet. Glycerin is, like I said, it's flaxseed glycerin. It's a byproduct of flaxseed. It's kind of sweet, and it's a great preservative. It'll last years. So that's kind of one method I use for the extraction, using alcohol and then evaporating into the glycerin for a non-alcohol tincture. The second way I'll do it is, and by the way, that first way is roots. If I'm extracting via roots, that's what I'm using. I'm using that method. The second way is like if I have leaves, dried leaves, I'm only using a glycerin mix. So I'm using a 50% glycerin mix. So it's 50% glycerin, 50% water, and then I will let that sit. I like to let it sit at least 3 months, just because the glycerin is not as strong as a solvent as alcohol. So I feel, my philosophy, you have to let it kind of, have more time to extract the compounds. And like for my chill tincture, that's what I use. And I use that method because those are all leaves and dried leaves and flowers.
So that takes three months just sitting there of doing it. Now, 2 questions. What is glycerin? And what is, the second question is, you said specifically yours was a flaxseed, so you chose that for a reason. Why did you choose that over other things that glycerin can be made out of? And what is glycerin to start with?
Yeah, so glycerin is, in simple terms, it's a sugar alcohol, is what they call it. So you may see, if you look like on a pack of gum these days, like you'll see like sugar alcohol instead of sugar. And so that's what it is. It's a sugar alcohol, so it tastes sweet. It's in a lot of different candies and stuff like that. Basically, it's a byproduct of, there's a lot of different kinds of glycerin. Soy glycerin is one of the things that is pretty widely available. Palm, they get glycerin out of palm, so palm seed. I chose flaxseed because flax is good for you. I used to use soy, but there are, there's some estrogenic qualities to soy and soy products and soy glycerin. So I just wanted to get something that was going to be void of all that stuff. The palm stuff also, a lot of times it's grown with like pesticides and chemicals. Got away from that. The flax is just, it's flax. It's organic, and it tastes good. You don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. It's good for you. Flaxseed glycerin is very good for you. So that's why I chose that specifically.
Does the extraction method affect the taste?
Good question. Yes. So obviously, if you extract things with alcohol, you're going to have an alcohol taste, which is not good for everybody, and children and stuff like that. It's not really a good thing. The less percentage of alcohol, like I said, sometimes I use 50%, sometimes I use 20%. Which 20%, that's the minimum that you can kind of have in the mixture in order to fully extract what you need and also preserve it. If it's less than 20%, it's not really going to preserve as long. With a 20%, you're going to get 2 to 3 years of preservation. Anyway, so yeah, an alcohol extraction is going to taste like alcohol. 20%, you're not going to taste it as much. The glycerin, it's going to be sweet. It's going to be sweet instead of kind of, bitter. And so in some ways, the sweetness can kind of cover up some of the undesirable tastes, like with ginseng. Ginseng is a traditional, it's a bitter tasting root. It's very earthy, like the old timers say, man, it tastes like the mountain, and it's just like, yeah, it tastes like the mountain. It tastes like, it's got a very soil-like taste. And so with the glycerin in there, it kind of covers it up a little bit.
Sweet earth.
It's a sweet and earthy taste. Now with the mix that has ginger and turmeric in it, you taste the ginger. The ginger just completely takes over the flavor palette. You're not going to taste the ginseng at all, really. So,
Well, when they were asking about ginseng, I think of you as Mr. Ginseng.
Johnny Ginseng?
Now I think of you as Mr. Appalachian Ginseng.
That's right, buddy.
Yeah, the Greek Appalachian ginsengist. So what are a couple different types of ginseng? I know traditionally it's been an Asian ginseng, but you were talking about, not only American ginseng, but specifically the Appalachian region of America, which is here, which is where you delve into. So could you explain a little bit the difference between the two and the highlights of Appalachian ginseng?
Absolutely. So ginseng is Panax genus. So, and Panax quinquefolius is the one that we have here in Kentucky. That is the American ginseng, Appalachian ginseng, but Panax quinquefolius. That's what we have here. The Asian ginseng, I can't remember. It's a type of Panax. I can't remember the species name. Anyway, if you were to talk to an Asian, medicine practitioner, they would say the Asian ginseng is more yin and the American ginseng is more yang. What does that mean? We're not going to go into that, but basically, the Asian ginseng has more of a stimulant effect, so it's going to be more stimulating, whereas the American ginseng still is stimulating, but it's less stimulating. And in many ways, there's a lot of wild ginseng that exists here in Kentucky and in the Appalachian region. Not a whole lot of wild ginseng in Asia anymore, just because it was hunted, relentlessly for many years. There's still tons of, and literally, I mean tons. I think last year it was something like 40,000 pounds of ginseng was extracted from the state of Kentucky.
Wow.
And it is the most highly valued ginseng in the global market for ginseng. So the Appalachian, specifically the Kentucky Appalachian ginseng, is the most highly valued. They do cultivate it as well, like in Wisconsin, and there's farms that cultivate it, under shade and stuff like that. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Why has it been so valued for thousands of years?
Well, we should maybe, if we had our time machine, we could go back and ask Daniel Boone, because he was one of the first to scour the hillsides in Kentucky and dig those ginseng roots to send to the Chinese people. I think it just, there's a mystical aspect to it as well, like ginseng the plant. It's a mystical plant. It's a plant that will come up one year, and then it may not come up for 10 or 20 years. It's still alive underground. It's still growing, but it just might not come above ground, And so there is a mystical aspect to it. But it's mostly prized for its adaptogenic qualities. It's an adaptogen. So basically, it helps your body adapt. It helps your body adapt to stresses that it's going under. So that could be everyday stress. That could be stress of recovering from an illness. It could be stress recovering from injuries. It's a natural steroid, essentially. It's a natural steroid, and so, whereas if your body's in homeostasis, but then we got stress of life and stress of a car accident or stress of cancer and treatment and whatnot, the ginseng will just kind of help your body get back to homeostasis. I'm taking it right now because of seasonal allergies. I suffer from seasonal allergies, and it helps my body deal with that. I certainly take it when I'm traveling because, lack of sleep, exposure to a lot of people, and whatever germs and viruses. It certainly is a boost to your immune system. Again, it's helping your body just kind of like deal with the stress. It's replenishing strength, where the stress is taking away the strength.
Is there a difference between a high quality and a low quality ginseng?
Absolutely. I mean, so the first thing I'll say is that a ginseng root, is not fully medicinal, like doesn't fully have all of the medicinal qualities until it's 7 years old.
Okay.
So the plant has to be alive for 7 years before really you should harvest it. So that's a minimum. There's a theory that, the older the roots, the more medicinal. It's debatable. Obviously, the older the root, likely the bigger it is, so might have more medicine that way. But you look at roots that were harvested from the wild, and they're gnarly. They're gnarly, and a lot of times they look like, the older roots especially they'll look like a human, like a little. I mean, and that's what ginseng means in Chinese. Is it means man root. It literally means man root. It looks like a man. It looks like a person, And so the wild ginseng is going to have just a different look to it. The cultivated ginseng is going to be more, more like something like a ginger root you would see at the supermarket. It's going to be just more plump, and I could put it this way. In many ways, the medicinal qualities of plants come out due to stress of the plant. And so when they're not grown in ideal conditions. This is true of many plants, specifically like CBD and cannabis sativa. When the plant is stressed, like when there's a drought, that's when the oils will come fully into the plant, because the plant's trying to protect itself. It's trying to survive, Similar ways in ginseng and other roots and other plants. Just like with the aromatic herbs in the Mediterranean, like, my father's family's from Greece, and we went back to visit a few years back, and, these herbs that are growing wild on the rocky, dry hillsides, I mean, you want to talk about aromatic, you want to talk about just oily, and like, they are the most oily, aromatic, oregano, thyme, like these wild plants growing on the hillsides. It's because they're stressed out, man. It's because, there's not a lot of water. It doesn't rain, for the entire summer over there. So those plants are just barely hanging on, and they're pumping out these medicinal compounds.
So when you actually go out into the wild and forage and find these plants, how do you know which ones you can leave and which ones you can take? And how do you find this? Do you mark plants to come back to later? And do you know of people stealing other people's ginseng?
This is when it turns into a soap opera.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, obviously it's highly prized, and it's valuable. It's valuable. I mean, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy to find, and it ain't easy to get to either. I mean, we're talking about, hillsides that are like that.
Really?
Oh yeah. And so me personally, like, I have looked for ginseng many times, and it's hard to find. And I mean, you need a lot of roots to make just a little bit of quantity. So yeah, I'll remember it in my head, or I'll take a picture of the plant now, and we got our phone that can like geolocate it and stuff like that, so I can go back to it. So there's that aspect. But I also buy from people who dig in Eastern Kentucky, just because I don't have the time and energy to go do it to get the quantity that I need. I'm a licensed ginseng dealer in the state of Kentucky.
Okay.
There is a, it's a regulated industry, as much as it can be, and so so I get it. It's completely legal, and in general, I've been trying to cultivate it, on my father's land. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to and cultivate it in a. Let me be specific. It's a wild simulated. In other words, it's just like I just put some roots and put some seeds in, and I've just been monitoring it over about the past 7 years, and I was happy. I'm happy to report this year that after 7 years, I have found these little patches
Wow.
that I've been able to establish, which I'd given up because I hadn't seen anything. But now going back this year, like I found some patches that, like, they've established. I planted on a hillside, and the plant flowered, and the seeds dropped down, and then new plants have come up. So,
Very good.
So we're reintroducing it into that area.
Sustainable.
That's our goal.
So I've got 2 more questions, and then we're running out of time. I don't want to go on too long. The first question is, I noticed that these bottles have a bluish tint, and I'm assuming that's for a reason. Mm-hmm. So will you talk about the blue tint that's on these bottles?
Yes. The reason is it's a trifold reason, because Kentucky blue, and also the blue tint is going to protect the compounds inside. It's going to protect the medicine from direct sunlight. It's filtering that sunlight out, so the medicinal qualities don't break down as quickly as they would in like a clear glass. And then also, the blue glass is absorbing solar energy. It's absorbing these frequencies of light and infusing that into the liquid as well. And Hawaiian people, Asian people believe in even drinking out of a blue glass. It's energizing that water, it's energizing that liquid, and putting some good solar energy that you can your body can convert into its own energy in it. So, and I just think it really looks cool too.
Yeah,
I like it.
blue.
I like it.
So the last extraction method is, I've never heard anybody except for Kentucky Soul talk about bourbon extraction for their tinctures. So can you talk with me about Kentucky bourbon extraction for Kentucky Soul tinctures? And is this something that is a fad? Is this legitimate? And will you continue to do it in the future?
Great question. So obviously bourbon is very available where we are. I use Old Forester, which, is I think is a very solid bourbon. Not my absolute favorite bourbon. I had Pappy recently. Oh my goodness. The hype is true. Like, it's just like, damn, that's good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but why did I choose bourbon? Because it's Kentucky Soul. Because it's Kentucky Soul Botanicals. It's a bourbon extraction. It does seem kind of gimmicky because, like I said, I've done a self-study for 25 plus years, been around this herbal healing traditions my whole life. And here in the last 2 years, I've been conducting an apprenticeship with an herbal doctor in Lexington, Kentucky. And so really, really, fine-tuning and honing my skills. And so I would really like to be taken more seriously. I think, with the bourbon, it was more of a gimmick, but as far as like extracting the medicinal qualities, it's absolutely legitimate. Absolutely legitimate. You could really use any alcohol. I've used rum as well, like my favorite rum, Flor de Caña from Nicaragua. That's really delicious. And with, some people could say with certain types of herbs and whatnot, the bourbon pairs better as far as taste goes. Some would say, the rum pairs better as far as taste goes. I am moving more towards just using vodka because it's just more bland. because most people, they're just wanting to get it done. My goal in making all of these tinctures and all of these blends is to make it palatable or more palatable for people, because then they'll look forward to taking it. They're going to look more forward to taking something that is going to taste okay than something that tastes terrible, obviously. But yeah, at the end of the day, if it's medicinal, that's what you need to take. In a tincture form, you do 2 to 5 squirts of it in a little bit of water, drink it down, and you're done. Can let the healing begin. But no, I'm very proud of the products that I've created, and I can say that they are effective, and treating many different things. And yeah, if you want me to talk about any of those, I can. So
yeah, so we'll have a couple of your products here. I'm worried about running out of time.
Okay. Yes.
Before, where can people get a hold of you at?
Yeah.
For these products that you have put your love and your time into, and you've wild foraged for these, where can they get a hold of you for these?
Yeah, so you can go to KentuckySoulBotanicals.com. So that's all spelled out, and soul is S-O-U-L, KentuckySoulBotanicals.com. That's our website, and it's got all of our tinctures, tonics, oils, and we have some heirloom seeds there, some really cool seeds. This one seed that's been passed down for generations by my Greek family. It's Greek amaranth, one of the most nutritious superfoods on the planet. So anyway, and then all of our tinctures, and we have a topical oil that we sell as well, the frankincense and CBD.
Very good. Seeds as well.
Seeds as well.
Heritage seeds that you're hard to find. And then talk to me, I think we got a little bit of time, about your favorite product there with the blend.
Oh, wow. Well, so I would say, the product that I really think is super synergistic is the wellness blend. It's got the ginger, turmeric, and ginseng. And so you're getting a really nice full spectrum of healing properties here. Specifically, this is great for anti-inflammatory because the ginger and the turmeric are excellent anti-inflammatory herbs. The ginseng is also good anti-inflammatory, but the ginger and the turmeric also really great for your stomach, in creating, kind of stabilizing that stomach flora and fauna. All 3 of those roots are really good for your brain, just in general, turmeric especially, and ginseng especially. Ginseng is taken a lot of times, it's prescribed, for brain fog. This was used extensively during the COVID pandemic as people were recovering from COVID and in combating brain fog. So this is just a great overall kind of, we'll call it like a multivitamin.
Yeah.
Many of my clients, they'll take this as a multivitamin, just a couple squirts a day, just for maintenance. Taking that every day. You could take it in a larger dose for kind of an acute, inflammation and whatnot. But yeah, this one, and it's really delicious. I mean, I love ginger, and with the glycerin, it's got that kind of sweet ginger flavor. So, some people, they put it in their morning coffee or morning tea. It's just going to have a little sweet gingery flavor, but it's a powerhouse. It's got a lot of great compounds in it, and you can kind of see it's super dark. It's super potent. Super potent.
Very good job, Yani.
Yeah.
All right, Yani Vozos with Kentucky Soul Botanicals. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you, man.
Bye.